was just trying to distract myself from the things in life that were hard. And some people do that with drugs or alcohol, and I did it with doing things that were fun.
Drugs and alcohol.
Yeah. Well, to me, the fun was not drugs and alcohol, but it was trips and traveling and concerts and going out to dinner and stuff like that. But now I'm investing more. I'm living more as if I don't have money, but the money that I have, I invest directly into myself and into my loved ones.
How does it look like?
Into my development. Well, I just last week I wanted to check what I invest most of my money in, and part of it is literal investing. Part of it is first going to paying off my mortgage, and then going to index funds later when I'm done. And part of it is in the blockchain, which is a risk, of course, but I'm willing to try because I'm using money that I don't need. And also what I spend a lot of money on is books and courses. And in August, I'm doing a retreat on Ibiza, investing in myself. I'm taking a lot of time to write because I found out that when I write, I gain more knowledge about myself, and then all the knowledge is there, all the wisdom is there. Yeah. And then the answers come to me. So right now, I have no idea what I'm doing next year. I just know what I want to do more of at this moment. Yeah. So, and a lot of that is writing and speaking and still helping students
and still making sure that you don't run into the same problem as before with the money.
Yeah, which I have to be very careful of because I've had a lifetime of the same patterns, of course. And I did make the same mistakes twice because as soon as I started making money 2 years ago, I was working really hard, and then slowly I was seeing the same patterns, but now I wasn't spending it on fun. I was spending it on comfort.
Okay.
So I was working at coffee shops, and that's quite expensive if you drink coffee and have lunch there. And I was taking my car again instead of riding my bicycle or walking because that was quicker. And I was doing last minute grocery shopping at the more expensive grocery stores. And that adds up as well.
Yeah.
So then I had to realize, okay, I have to track my spending again and decide what to do. So now I've changed it again.
So is this gonna happen again? Do you think this, even though you're not having the issues with money anymore, do you think it still can come back?
I have to be careful.
Yeah.
I am definitely financially secure right now, and I'm sure that that's going to last, that my buffer is big enough and my financial intelligence is big enough now, and I make wise choices in general. But still I have to be careful, especially in the summer when it's really easy to eat out or have a drink, or I do have a more minimalist lifestyle right now, so I don't need much. But I do still tend to spend things on having fun with people I love. Yeah.
How do you see the more minimalist lifestyle? Because I also, especially the word, it's quite getting just the word is getting a lifestyle, almost like the minimalism, almost like veganism or something like this. Yeah. So how do you see minimalism?
It's I don't see my lifestyle as a minimalist lifestyle. It's just more minimalist than it used to. It's the most important lesson I learned, or in theory, the most important thing that I read about money was Parkinson's law, which was that your expenses will always rise to match your income. And then recently last year I discovered that this goes for anything. It goes for space as well. So I realized that I have, my house is not very big, but it was very full of things that I don't need. So first I got rid of 2/3 of my books. Everything that was serving only my ego. When people looked at my closet or my bookcase and saw, wow.
You're reading a lot.
Wow, you're reading the Greek philosophers. Wow. I never read it. So I got rid of all those books. Just the books that I want to read and read again. And then I did it with other stuff, and I just making room in my house and in my life. And then I did it with my clothes. I think I got rid of 2/3 of my clothes. And I just have an empty closet now, just a few things. But all the things that I have now are my favorite things. So I'm saving time as well. I don't have to choose because it doesn't matter. It's all my favorite.
Yeah.
And that makes sure that I don't have to buy anything because I have everything I need. So if I tend to want to buy something, I think, well, do I really want this? Would I exchange it for something that I already have because I want to keep the space? And then usually it's no, but most of the time I don't even feel like I have to buy something. And then last week I did it with time as well.
Okay.
So I thought, well, this applies to anything. If you have time to do something, like with the book, you know, if I say I am writing a book, then I can keep writing and keep perfecting it for the next 40 years.
Yeah.
But if I say I have 2 weeks now to finish the book, it will be done in 2 weeks. And that works like magic.
It does.
So the book will be done soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does that work for you? Like, do you just set yourself like a deadline and then you try to match this, or what is the process of getting them to finalize it at that date? I mean, you can just kind of set a deadline for yourself and, oh damn it, I miss it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I did it with my website.
Okay.
My website has been under construction for 1.5 years now, I think, because I needed to tweak a little bit. But I'm a perfectionist, I discovered also. So I keep, you know, the thing about writing also, this goes for a website as well. You have to say out loud what you want and who you are. You have to express it in a very simple manner. So for me, putting a few sentences on my website is a really hard thing because you have to go straight to the essence. And in my case now, I also added what my rates are, for instance.
Okay.
Hardly anyone does that, but I just want to be clear about it. So that was, for me, it was a very courageous thing to do. But I've been writing and rewriting this for 1.5 years, and there's no pressure. So I could take 18 more years perfecting it as well. And then one day I just got sick of myself, and I just decided for myself, okay, today I will have between 10 and 4, and at 4 my website is done. And at 1 minute to 4 it was all done. Because that's all the room that I had. So I would advise people to, especially for the big things in life, use as little space as you can.
That's a bit not contradicting, but different to the approach. Especially you said to big things, give as little time as possible.
Yeah, the big things you have to do.
Yeah. Because
then you have more room for the big things you want to do.
Yeah. Okay. That is.
Because the big things I want to do, there's always. People tend to focus so much on what they want right now. And they tend to forget, because that fills their days automatically, that they tend to forget what they want the most. And sometimes that takes a little sacrifice now. And I think that goes for time as well. So if especially for me, business-wise, is a big thing, is my website. If I take as little time for that as possible, it's still good. It may not be 100%, but it's at least 80%. And I discovered while writing that because I was so hyper-focused, I was better than anything I'd ever written before. So if you do the things that you have to do in as little time as you can, and accept that 80% is enough, that's another thing.
Okay.
Then there's so much room and time left for the things that really matter. And in my case, that's just having time for myself and having time for my loved ones. That's
really important.
Yeah.
Like the distinguishing part of putting as little time as possible to the things you have to do, to big things you have to do, so you have room for the others.
Yeah, but that's also possible if you start valuing yourself. Because if
also, or only possible?
Only possible, yeah. Because if you keep giving people and you don't give yourself anything, and you don't make enough money, then you're in survival mode. And then if you don't have enough money, you have to spend all your time surviving financially. So you don't have any time to give either. And I think that the currency that is the most valuable right now in our lives is time, and it's not money. So you keep exchanging your time for too little money, and then it takes up all of your time. So then you think you're giving, but all you're doing is just surviving.
Thank you. You also, or we had before also a bit the chat of what you do in order to get to those self insights, or to go a bit more deeper in yourself. What have you done, and what did it help you?
I've done a lot.
Okay, then I guess with the maybe most significant ones, like what did you do in order to get to the biggest insights you got?
That would be ayahuasca. Yeah, that gave me the biggest insights, because by the stories I was saying, I was looking for a way to go past my own bullshit. Mm-hmm. Because my brain works really well. The stories I tell myself are really good.
I think we're really good in this, all of us.
So in those stories, it's never really my fault. There's always someone else to blame, or circumstances. Yeah. I'm always doing really well. I'm always really happy, because I'm really good at being happy, at feeling happiness. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to get past that, because I realized that there's more than the mind can tell you. And I thought, well, there's not a book I can read, and not a therapist I can see that can tell me what's the essence of myself. So I discovered the existence of ayahuasca 3 years ago, and then there was a direct pull towards it. Mm-hmm. And also a lot of fear, because it's about surrendering, even physically, because most people throw up or have other ways to purge, to release old stuff. Okay. And I thought that would be disgusting and scary. So it's taken
Sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah, it's taken me a very long time. It kept coming back. Mm-hmm. And suddenly I was ready. And then I thought, well, let's do this. And with ayahuasca, it's 2 plants from the Amazon. Mm-hmm. One contains DMT, which your body produces as well, but your liver shuts it down all the time. So the other plant is a substance that stops your liver from stopping the DMT, and they mix it into this disgusting kind of tea, and then you set an intention for what you want to experience. So my intention was, I want to accept anything there is, anything that happens in the session.
That sounds pretty bold.
Yeah. Other participants thought so too, because most of them had done 20, 30 sessions already. And I along with someone else, I was the only one who was a first timer. They thought so too. And then I still had control, and I you have these visions, and it's all psychedelic. You see colors that you've never seen before, and it's different for everyone. But yeah. But I still had control, so I went for a second drink, and then my intention was, please give me everything I can handle, and that's what I got. And it's so hard to explain to anyone who hasn't done it what happens, but you do go through your own bullshit. And I was in different dimensions and different levels of consciousness at the same time, and completely lost and ready to die, to physically die, I thought. And then after 8 hours, I came back, and it was like I was born for the first time. Okay. And I had let go of everything that didn't serve me, and everything that was just in the mind. And I just suddenly started to feel and be present in my own life, which was the thing that came out of the money project most as well, is finally I can be present in my own life, because I don't have to worry about money anymore. Mm-hmm. But these convictions and memories and experiences that were still blocking me in a way, and that is what ayahuasca took away. And now I'm living my life and experiencing it like it's the first time. And so it's the most beautiful thing I've ever done, but also the most gruesome thing I've ever done. It's really scary, I think. I wouldn't take it lightly. It's not drugs, it's medicine, but it's a very powerful medicine.
So what happened to your convictions, to your self-narrative, to your beliefs?
I realized that in order to value, if you value yourself, you have to teach other people how to value you as well. And I've never realized that. So somewhere in the beginning of my trip, my journey, I kept saying to myself, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. And I went deeper into another level of consciousness where everything was one and connected, and the whole physical world didn't really exist anymore, and everything's okay. And suddenly I woke up, and within the trip, I woke up and I said, no, not everything is okay. Everything is not okay. You can't let people treat you this way. Okay. You can't treat yourself this way. And then suddenly it was very pragmatic. And I thought, oh, this is something I can use, because everything is okay. It's really nice to see that everything is connected and we're all one and it's all love. But practically, it's nice to have something you can work with.
Yeah.
And that was one of the many lessons that the ayahuasca taught me is, okay, you can now believe that you're valuable and you can value yourself, but you have to show it. And every choice that you make, you have to live your values, which I teach people.
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm finally starting to live it myself as well.
So did you learn it through teaching, or did you learn it already before? Or did you live it through teaching?
That's a good question. I think it's both.
Okay.
But I do believe in the phrase, those who can't teach. And people tend to use it in a very nasty way, usually. But I think for me, it's really true, is that what I teach other people is what I struggle with myself.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a coincidence that everything I do is about the things that are real and the essence and autonomy and choosing your own life. That has everything to do with myself and the things that I want to learn in life, and that the people I teach in turn teach me.
Yeah. But you teach them things which you're self still working on, right?
Yes.
Is that something what is contradicting?
I think that's the only way to teach.
Okay. So only through kind of trying to figure this out for yourself, you were able to teach this to others.
Yeah. Well, now the other way around. I think that by teaching others, I can distance myself enough and through them learn myself. And I'm able to do it. It's just that when it comes to your own life, you can't distance yourself from it. You can't see the big picture because you're in it.
Yeah.
And that's really hard. So I think everything anyone teaches to others is harder for themselves to practice when it comes to the important things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are then the important things for you?
To teach or learn? The biggest things I've learned?
I mean, just you said you teach the biggest things to other people. That's the only way to teach others. So what are then the biggest things to you that you, I guess, also teaching them?
The biggest things that I teach, I think, is that I teach people to be themselves, to discover who they are and become better at it, and to have the courage to stay themselves. But that's not an easy thing, because then you have to know, have to have an idea of what you believe.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what to stand for, and then you can figure out how to stand for them and how to reevaluate, like you did.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you figure out what you believe, and then it turns out at some point that you don't need it anymore, that doesn't serve you anymore, or that it's just what you expect from other people to do towards you, but it's not what you stay true to yourself towards other people or to yourself, which for me was the biggest lesson.
Yeah.
That, you know, I stay very true to my values, but I tend to get rigid about it, and I tend to not give it to myself, but I give to others. Another thing is purpose. I help people find a sense of purpose in their lives, and that's already in them. You know, it's not something outside of you. It's just that all you have to do is really remember the moments when time stood still, or your face lit up, or people say you're glowing, and then you're, you know, heading somewhere meaningful. It can be anything. And it's not just about finding fun and focus on happiness all the time. I really don't believe in this hype that everything should be happy and inspirational all the time.
Okay.
I think it's about meaning, finding meaning for yourself, and defining what's meaningful for you.
And that you're teaching in your courses. I remember the course I could also attend was that you started with that as well. Like, okay, what is kind of the biggest problem you're working on? And I guess with the methods you taught also was you go into depth of like, okay, what is the meaning behind this?
Yeah, I do that secretly.
Yeah.
You just attended the last session, which was the lighter one.
Okay.
The first ones were about first was about the essence in your life. The second was about values, and the third was about purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And the fourth was just the practical things that you improve your life based on the things that frustrate you.
Mm-hmm.
And now I forgot the question.
Why do you think the meaning or the purpose is so important?
I think meaning is so important, because without meaning you have nothing to live for.
But I mean, you also said like there's still this hype of the fun part and being happy. I mean, this also feels nice, right?
Yeah.
So why do you think meaning or purpose in this sense is way more important?
Because it lasts longer, and because because for a year, I think for at least a decade, I've been in a lucky position where I could only do things that would give me fun.
Mm-hmm.
That would make me feel happy. And then the choices I made were not good for me or for anyone around me, because I ended up broke. And then when I changed my behavior and started to value myself, and to start to act differently and take better care of myself and of my surroundings and my loved ones, and learn more and invest more, I ended up having more fun. But the fun then was not just fun, it turned into joy, which is a huge difference to me. So, and I think that this happiness hype is mostly based on fun, on having enough moments to make you forget that you're miserable, or having enough moments that make you feel like you're successful, or you're doing well, or you don't have to compare yourself to people on Instagram anymore. And all we tend to do is, I once heard someone say, we compare our movie trailer, someone else's movie trailer, to our behind the scenes. And you'll always be unhappy. Especially when you base your happiness on moments where you should be happy, because you'll never have enough of them. And to me, happiness is a constant state. It's what lies beneath. Even during the hardest moments in my life, which are not even the money project, that was medium. That was just a little glitch, you know.
Okay.
I've also lost things that really mattered to me, people that really mattered to me, and things that were much harder than having no money at all. But still, during those moments, I found these profound feelings of happiness underneath. And I think that true happiness is directly connected to meaning. I just recently read the Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. You know the book?
Yeah.
He survived 4 concentration camps, and he was a psychotherapist. And he discovered that as soon as people lost meaning in their lives, they died. And surviving a concentration camp for a great part also has a lot to do with luck, of course, statistics. And but he would see people lose hope from one day to another, and then he would see them smoke a cigarette, and everyone would keep their cigarettes all the time for the moment they really needed them. And as soon as they saw people smoke their cigarettes, soon after that, they would just lie in bed and let everything go and not care about punishment or consequences. And that's when he knew they gave up. And he found a sense of meaning because there was a book he wanted to write about this. And he could, because he needed to write this book, he could see a future for himself after he wrote the book. And I think he wasn't necessarily happy during his life, but because he had a sense of meaning, he could have a valuable life and give a lot to others as well. So I think we shouldn't focus too much on happiness. I think that if you focus on meaning for yourself and the meaning that you give to others, which can be a very small world. It doesn't have to be the world. It can be your world. Yeah. Maybe it's just 2 or 3 people that you can reach in your life, and that should be enough. My father on his deathbed, he asked me, I never found my purpose in life. How do I know if it was meaningful?
Okay.
And then I said, well, maybe it's not what you think. Maybe it's that everyone who comes in here is crying or looking sad when they come in and smiling and glowing when they walk out. Maybe that's your purpose. And then he found a sense of happiness that couldn't have come from the outside, So I think it's, I think searching for happiness makes us really unhappy. And I think searching for meaning and finding it in the little things, not just wanting it to be something big out there or something that we can get applause for or anything, or credits. I think if you find inside what means a lot to you and act on that, I think you'll be happier.
And did you find something for yourself as well?
Yeah, to be present. Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, it's so simple, but yeah, that's it. If I am present, magic happens. The other day I was playing with my son, he's 1-year-old. All we did was roll a ball from him to me and back. And I was in tears. I was crying because I was so grateful and so happy because I was in the moment. I wasn't thinking about what I had to do or someone I had to email or looking at my phone or anything. I was just in the moment with him. And it felt as if it lasted 8 hours. And that was everything.
Oh.
Yeah. And when I'm present, when I'm working with people, when I'm doing a training, I improvise everything. I can hold the space during the session, and everything I need comes to me. I may have 3 or 4 notes because I promised to deliver something and I have to deliver it, so I have to get from A to B somehow. But every session is totally different.
All the meantime is just improvised.
Yeah, and as a speaker as well, the other day I decided not to tell a story. I just gave people in the room, I gave them a piece of paper, and the theme was happiness, success, and meaning.
Mm-hmm.
I just asked them to write questions that they had on these topics and make a paper plane out of them and throw them at me. And the entire time I just shared my ideas on their questions. And I could never have done that before because I wasn't present. But now I have presence, so the things that I need just come to me. Luckily. It's almost a kind of meditative state, but then really feel everything.
How are you able to get into this state? I guess also so frequently in presentations and when you have a workshop or anything like that, because for me at least now through the Vipassana there, like the weeks 3 or 4 weeks afterwards, that was quite easy to get into there, but now it's getting harder and harder. Like, what is maybe your trigger, or like how did you train to get in there?
Do you still meditate?
Yeah.
Every day?
Yeah. But still, I mean, just a day, an hour or something different to 10 hours a day and being completely without communication. I think that is a huge thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I can imagine it is. It's really easy to be Zen when you're on a mountaintop in Tibet, I think. But in this modern world, it's a lot harder.
Yeah, a lot.
I'm not sure. I am. I think there's a lot of factors that play. One is that I give myself as little space to work as I can.
Mm-hmm.
So when I work focused, but I only work for about 3 days a week.
Okay.
And the rest of the time, I develop myself and I read and I have ideas and I write them down and I do things, but I don't have to. Because when there's enough silence and enough space surrounding me, that's when my creativity kicks in. And that's when my inspiration comes and when my knowledge opens somehow. So I create as much quiet and silence as I can. I spend as little time as I can indoor, which is easier with this weather, of course, but still. I challenge myself every month to stop or start something. So this month it has been no Netflix and no alcohol.
Okay.
Netflix was a lot harder than alcohol. That was really hard.
Can't imagine.
Yeah, but the weather's nice. So I'm just outside reading books every night, and that's fantastic. And then I get better sleep, and then the next day I can focus more. And I do meditate, but not every day. But when I do get in this deeper kind of state. But the most important thing work-wise is trust myself. Don't fear that it won't be there. Just trust that, as I don't know now, but if I have a training session or a coaching session or I have to speak somewhere, that it will be there.
Okay.
And then it's there.
It works.
Yeah, and just have to I remind myself to open my heart, which sounds a bit strange maybe, but I ground myself really well, so I have to feel my feet. So I wiggle my toes. This is what I teach people in presentation trainings as well. I wiggle my toes, I stand firmly on the floor or on the ground. I can feel my body, and then I imagine that my heart just opens, and then I'm connected to everyone in the room, and then I know what to do.
It sounds so easy and simple to do.
It's really easy. You should try it. If you can do Vipassana for 10 days in Nepal, then you can easily do this.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think we're getting close to when you have to leave again.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Time flies, doesn't it?
So I have a couple of last questions for you. So one is that out of those, the whole bunch we just talked about, so many different topics, what are like the 3 most important things or lessons you learned that you think are most valuable for others as well?
Ooh, there's so many. I don't have a top 3. I'll just share what comes to mind right now.
You can also share more if you want.
Yeah, okay. One of the most important is to value yourself. can't stress that enough. I think I'm still struggling with it myself. I think everyone's struggling with it. But if everyone could be as loving and caring and compassionate for themselves as they would for their best friend or their child or their partner, then this would be a better place. Another one is breathe. It's the first thing I also did when I started the money project. I couldn't do anything because I didn't control the situation. I was panicking. I thought, okay, the one thing I can do is breathe. And then when you breathe and you slow down, then things will come to you. You just have to breathe and focus on your breathing. You may have experienced this a lot if you meditate.
Yeah.
And you don't even have to meditate. It's just breathe, right? It's only for 15 seconds, maybe. Just be conscious that air goes in your nose and maybe out your mouth, right? Your nose.
Then you're in the moment.
Then you're in the moment, yeah. And whether you're scared or not, take the first step. And whatever you dream of, or whatever you hope, or whatever your goals are, whatever you want to do, just take a tiny first. It could be one tiny small action. We talked about this before as well, but it's so simple to change your life. All you have to do is take that one tiny action, and this could be one phone call, or read a book, or Google something, or anything. Maybe it just takes you 10 seconds. All you have to do is take the first step. We tend to focus on the end point, and then it's one big project that's big and scary and hairy, and we don't want to start, and we don't know where to start, and then we start thinking, and then we start postponing or waiting until we're ready or until we've read enough books about it. I tend to do this myself. But all you have to do is get yourself into action. And as long as you don't, you're just sabotaging yourself. As soon as you come into action, if it's just one small thing, all you have to do is that, and then you've reached a new point towards your goal. And then you can redefine if this is still the goal that you want to achieve. And you can decide what your next small action will be. And then you're moving.
Yeah.
And that's all you need. Just be moving. So sit still and move.
Yeah. Breathe, sit still and move.
Right. Yeah.
And the last one is then connected to the name of the podcast, The Ambitious Sloth.
Mm-hmm.
What is your first thought when you hear the combination of the Ambitious Sloth?
I thought that's me.
Why?
Because I am so ambitious, and half of the time it doesn't show at all. See, my ambition was always to change the world, to make the world better. It's been like that since I was 4 or 5 years old. But when I was 4 or 5, I realized that I was changing the world by picking up garbage while my family and I were walking through the woods, and I was frustrated by people destroying it. So I would pick up garbage, throw it away. I didn't think I needed a plan to change the world. I didn't think I needed to add knowledge or experience. I just did what I could do in that moment. And I tend to forget that. So I still want to change the world, but then I forget I have to make money, or I forget I have to value myself, or I tend to forget that I already have everything I need, and that I can switch it on in a moment and do whatever people need me to do. So the sloth, I think, is the part that is in my brain, my mind, and the ambition is in the heart, and I just have to trust the heart.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was so valuable.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I just thought I was going all over the place, but
No.
I really enjoyed it.
It was so easy to listen to because you had so many important and valuable things you explained, and with your stories it's just easy to listen to.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.